Welcome to today's podcast. This is Nathan Merrill with Goodspeed Merrill, attorneys at law, and I am here with Karl Frank of A&I Wealth Management.
Hey Nate, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing pretty good. You're wearing
I am
old brand
the old shirt. Yeah, we need to get
threw
some.
me off there for a second. We also have Jeff Krommendyk of One Digital Insurance.
Yep,
Here
here's my
with us
card.
today.
Oh,
Like it.
nice. That
Yeah.
way we can
Yeah, I'll
spell
use
it
that as a
right.
prompt.
Thanks,
There you go.
One Digital.
Thanks for having me. It's good to see you guys.
So it's good to be
It's
together.
been a while.
And, we are now officially in Q4.
We are
Q3 is closed. You know what that means is end of year.
end of year planning next year.
And,
Strat.
end of year planning. I mean, this is go time for my practice.
Yeah, for sure.
But the other thing it's go time for, every month this quarter has a holiday. So families are already feeling
Every month.
the scheduling stress of
Right.
Halloween, get the decorations up, get them down, get Thanksgiving up, get them down, get Christmas up. I mean,
Be with family.
the family thing.
Oh yeah,
too.
the family.
Family could be a little stressful.
Yeah, that's stressful.
So, and especially acknowledging this part of it too is there's family, as we have talked about extensively over the last quarter. Q3 you could almost call our family quarter because a good chunk of our podcast were on family. Is
on the legacy. These are
family
great
can be a
conversations.
source of joy and inspiration. It can also
Sure.
be a source of stress, disappointment, that
Right.
sort of thing. So with all that, recognizing the different demands that exist this time of year, Jeff, you pointed out moments ago that presently October is Mental Health Awareness
Month, yes.
Awareness Month.
I'm sure there's other things we're supposed to be aware of in October as well. Cyber.
Oh, it's Cyber Insurance Month.
Yeah, it's Cyber Awareness Month, going back to insurance. But, there's only 12 months in the year, so I'm sure everybody's kind of vying for their
More
month.
than one thing.
But anyway,
So yeah,
it's stressful. It's all just stressful.
It's just stressful. So
I thought it was Pro Bono Month. I thought it was a charitable month.
Probably is.
So
that would be
there
a
you
good way to manage stress, which is my own way of segueing into
Okay.
what we're going to talk about today. Is what are the things, recognizing that we will, each of us in our own unique ways, have stress bearing down on us, perhaps more than usual over the coming
Sure.
3 months, our families, our children. What are some tested, true tested, whatever the phrase is, for ways of diffusing or dealing with stress so that you can
Be healthy.
be healthy?
Be energized. Tried and true.
Mhm.
Time tested.
Tried and true. Thank you.
Is that? Yeah.
I actually have a book I just got yesterday up in my office. It's titled Cortisol,
Oh,
which is the stress hormone, and I
Yeah.
can't wait to read all about that. It has no relationship to this.
because you don't have enough cortisol in your life. You got to read.
No, I know cortisol is a problem. I do know, and if anybody needs a motivation to really engage with this podcast and start to think about ways they can manage their stress, cortisol is an aging hormone.
Mm.
So if you want to slow down your aging process, this is something that this event I was at yesterday, we studied quite a bit, was the aging process. But cortisol is one of those contributors to aging. So if you want to feel younger, if you want to feel healthier, if you want to have more
Reduce cortisol.
energy, you've got to learn to reduce cortisol.
I love that.
Or reduce your stress, because I'm sure stress
Stress
produces
is-
cortisol.
It
Right.
does, but I think there's
Yeah.
ways that if you develop better coping mechanisms for stress, you can still take the stress on and not have essentially cortisol overload.
Right.
But now we're getting into territory that I don't understand
That's an
fully.
area of expertise.
Only you would be so excited to read that book, Nate.
I am excited.
Why don't
Well, I'll
read
tell
that
you,
and paraphrase it
I
for
thought
us.
it'd be an audiobook from Nate. I was
Yeah.
thinking for sure it'd
So-
be an audible.
this is, tease out a potential future podcast here. That one of the other, we were presenting at this thing yesterday, not on stress.
Yeah,
we were
okay.
talking about charitable giving, which I
okay.
think it's that kind of thing that gives meaning and purpose to life that
Yeah.
does offset the stressors
That's a good point. Yeah.
that we can talk about in a moment. But the other presentation was on stem cells and the
Wow.
new stem cell treatments that are coming online that fascinating stuff that
Interesting.
maybe we can get that guy to come on our podcast
great.
with us.
Yeah.
If you pay attention to current events, the gentleman who made that presentation was the former governor of Puerto Rico during Irma, Marie, and the earthquake. If you recall, this was during the Trump presidency,
Yeah,
and the
that's a
place
rough
was
ride.
a disaster.
Yeah. That's a rough
And he's
ride.
a scientist, not a politician, but he was kind of the Trump-esque equivalent, being elected in Puerto Rico, no political background, and he came into just a complete disaster show.
Wow.
Not to mention they have a $1.2 billion budget and they had $400 million in the bank or something like that. So he had a lot to deal
Yeah,
with.
without much money.
And unfortunately, his term in office did not end well,
Oh.
which is what most people remember about him. But a super nice guy and super knowledgeable about stem cells. So
Cool.
hopefully we can bring him
That's
on
great.
and talk about that. But let's talk about stress. Let's talk about not just the existence of it or the things that bring it on, but how one best copes with
How do you
stress.
handle stress? One of the best ways is exercise. Regular exercise, you get yourself into a routine. It's sometimes easier said than done, though, my friend, right? I had a routine, and then COVID ended, and travels picked up again, and I went crazy with travel, and the routine went out the door. And it's still hard, I think, today to pick back up on the routine I had before.
So let's talk about that, because I might have some ideas, because the routine has always been a challenge for me too.
Mm-hmm. Make it a habit.
Well, it's the habit side of it, but it's also like you brought up the travel. I came across an app that I think was directed towards aging males, which is a category I now fit in.
We don't know anything about that. None of us.
But it was all calisthenics. It's all stuff you could do conceivably in a hotel room.
Okay, without like a
It's
weight.
body weight exercise regimen, and it's a 30-day program, and you go from very basic stuff to doing more and more complex calisthenics.
That's great.
So things like that, if it's not just recognizing that exercise is a potential solution.
But you got to actually do it. And if you make it a routine,
find something that works.
Yeah.
Because if your approach is to say, I'm going to exercise, so I'm going to go to the gym, and then the gym becomes the impediment to your exercising,
Actually do it. Mm-hmm.
then now you're creating more stress in your life because you
set an expectation and you're not hitting it.
Right.
This is why I try to set my expectations really low. Like, I'm killing it.
Yeah. As long as I carry on my phone, I can open the app and I can do a push-up.
Right. But they were good exercises, and then so not only is exercise good for you because it's healthy and it gets you, but there are we've talked about tried and true.
There's
dopamine. Dopamine is the anti-cortisol, right?
Exactly.
Or what's the nepin?
Well,
there's another.
Whatever it is, but that happens, and especially after you're breathing hard with aerobic exercise, and you just get that
epinephrine.
It might be.
Yeah, I think that's the one.
There you go.
So, but dopamine is the one everybody knows.
Feel good. You're like, ooh, yeah, baby, I feel good.
So starting out the day with exercise, even a little bit, I understand goes a very long way.
Yeah,
for sure.
Well, I think it's a great place to start because stress is often something that manifests itself internally. Whether we don't want to get too far into the semantics, but it can certainly begin in our mind and then almost manifest itself, almost like I would just say in our hearts or in our soul or in our inner being, where it actually feels heavy, like almost like it can lead to a breakdown of sorts, or where you're feeling like heaviness on your chest, and then there's definitely. It's just so it can be I think from a physical, working out, being active, which generates, of course, all these different different things, and activates our different things in our bodies when we are physical. It just is it's a great place to start. It just really, I think we're body, soul, and spirit, right? It's one. And so if you're addressing this from just one aspect of the three dimensions that we are, then, I think you might be hitting on a little bit of it, but if you don't do anything physically active, you can probably count
Make it
on
worse.
having some stress.
Yeah,
for sure.
For sure. Yeah, just get worse and worse. Yeah, I think exercise is awesome.
Yeah, love that.
Well, and just because you bring it up, because I know we want to try to hit several topics for people today, knowing that this is the, proverbial third rail of social conversation, so we can talk about it generically, but there's the spiritual side of dealing with stress as well. And so this is not to necessarily be a plug for any particular denomination or faith,
Absolutely.
but people who have a spirituality, however they pursue that or express it, can be a huge advantage in dealing with extra and feeling like you belong. I think is another thing. So oftentimes it's the community of faith that is one of those things that helps people through. It actually reminds me of a conversation I had with this gentleman about a study on mice that I think it's a Harvard study, but basically they would put mice in isolation,
and they didn't do as well, I'm sure.
Well, they didn't do as well, but a couple things. So then they put a cocaine laced water in the cage with them, and the solitary mouse would drink the water until they died.
Oh, geez, wow.
But they were given an option. They had regular water and the cocaine water, and they drink the regular water until they died.
Yeah.
Then they would put a community of mice into the same cage, and it didn't play out the same way because the community provided the stimulation for the mice that they didn't require the alternative. They didn't need the drug. The drug made them feel probably weirder because they had
get out.
They weren't alone.
You got to be with people.
It's
a stress reliever.
Yeah. Well, that's why I say the community, whatever the community is you belong to, is having a community.
That could be a church community, but it could be another community too.
It could be a bowling league.
Yeah.
It could be, not that, bowling isn't spiritual in some way. I don't want to offend anyone, but the other study I want to point out, and you guys may have heard about this one, was the bunny rabbit one, where they would inject these bunnies with toxic or toxins or something that was intended to kill them. And they weren't getting the results in the experiment they thought they were, because they were injecting these harmful substances in these bunnies and they weren't dying.
Yeah. And what kept them alive?
So the people administering the drugs to these bunnies, I guess, felt sorry for the bunnies. So they would hold the bunnies, and as they were administering these life-threatening injections,
the bunny kept it alive.
They would talk nicely and they'd pet the bunny. So just so this goes to the hug therapy kind of thing. Yeah. Just the physical touch and hugging actually diffuse tons of stress.
Yeah.
Hugging 60 seconds a day or something like that is what I've heard.
Yeah.
I love it.
So find someone to hug.
No,
I'm all for that.
stay married.
Sorry, we'll do it later. Yeah, just on the coattails of that, I think that just really strikes a chord in me. I think along the spiritual dimension, for me, just having time to, we'll just say, meditate, pray, whatever you want to call it, but even just quiet time, at the beginning of the day, whatever, however you use that, but just setting time aside to just kind of get in touch with myself, check in, see how I'm doing, how I'm feeling, and really trying to identify the things that are stressing me out so that maybe I can manage that just a little bit better. So just on the heels of, whatever, again, practices you have around faith or spirituality. I mean, quiet time is important.
They refer to that now kind of generically as mindfulness. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, you're right. Prayer, meditation.
Yeah.
Very close to that would be thankfulness. Just a bit of
gratitude.
That's great.
Is huge too. I mean, it just on another thing is
gratitude.
And this is where the charity comes into play too, because when you're outwardly focused, when you recognize
Yes.
the blessings, the prosperity that you do enjoy, and then you serve other people who are less fortunate, you are less concerned about what
Also,
you
your
lack.
problems look smaller.
Yeah, or you don't even consider them problems anymore. Sometimes we make what is it, molehills into mountains or something.
Yes, we sure do.
Because we focus on our lack rather than our excess, our abundance. Thank you.
Yeah, I love that.
So gratitude can be huge. And these are things that are not necessarily intuitive when we think, gosh, I'm stressed. I got to get unstressed. You don't normally default to, I need to go serve someone. I need to find someone
else to give.
to help.
Yeah.
So just like with exercise, this is perhaps something that people just need to make a habit, make a regular part of their life.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
What are some of the other, things that maybe bring on stress? I'm thinking of, just poor time management. And so that might lead to another solution that I'm thinking of, which is, again, not taking on maybe more than what you can do.
Learning how to say no.
Yeah, so the word boundaries come to mind for me,
that,
right?
yeah.
And being able to say no and knowing what your capacity is, and really, kind of knowing where your tipping point is. Being true to yourself, is really all of what boundaries is about. And of course, there's been books, written, by Henry Cloud on that. I think boundaries really stretches into, good relationship management. I mean, relationships can cause stress, right? So it could be because somebody's crossed a boundary that either you didn't put up or, maybe they crossed, inappropriately. So I feel like, saying no is really hard for somebody like myself who's a people pleaser. And it just leads to a very busy schedule and really expectations that I can't come through on. And that stresses me out.
I think that's a really good idea. Boundaries. I love it. Relationships are really key because they are stressors in our lives. They're also the most rewarding part of our lives.
Sure.
So, yeah, I think having that in a healthy relationship is really big. Running our business in a way where we care about the people we're working with and the people we're working for makes a huge difference. And so I think showing the love that we want to receive can be a huge stress reliever. It can be, I'm being bothered by what's his name is again, my problem. Boy, if you catch yourself saying that, find a way to reverse that, say, or just maybe ask them to exit your stage.
Yeah.
You're in charge of this show.
Exactly.
Well, that dovetails, and I don't think we have spent much time talking about this because there's so much within the Dan Sullivan strategic coach kind of arena that we could talk about and drill down on for listeners, but is the book Who Not How is not, it gets back to boundaries or defining what it is your area of responsibility is be and get stuff off your plate. Stuff that is not within your gifting or, battery charger for you. Things that drain you are going to add stress to your day as a business owner. And stop kidding yourself that you're the only one that can do it. There's other people that can do the things that you do. You just got to take that leap and start offloading things. This is something I've been learning a lot about personally in my business over the last year is just firing myself from task after task after task. And communicating to the people that I'm offloading those to, like, this is yours. You own this. I do not own this anymore.
Right.
So
you're going to do great.
Own it. Yeah. And then
if you make a mistake, it's okay.
Yeah.
No matter what mistake you make, you can recover.
Yeah.
We'll be fine. You're going to do great. Yeah.
So.
Yes. Really good advice there. Great stress
relief. Yeah, you find people can do it better than you, right?
Yeah, often. Especially after they get used to it.
You guys are now working with my team coordinator, so you know exactly how amazing just getting the right people, the right who's into the right roles.
Schedule. Yes.
Yeah. Well,
she's very good.
She's in my email, so don't send me anything inappropriate. But
That guy did.
Yeah.
well, he wants to hug later, so
I'm stressed.
Am I not involved?
You're the closest one to
I'm
it here.
jealous.
Come on.
All right.
but yeah, that's a big one. Jumping back into maybe some of the more physical or nuanced things, just to throw out again some obvious sleep. Making sure you're giving yourself enough opportunity to sleep. This program that I was privy to yesterday basically said that's one of the, again,
Totally believe it.
not getting enough
Big
sleep
difference
will
maker.
age you faster, will lead to more health complications. It's just huge. Water,
Oh,
Yeah.
Colorado, we always talk about water.
yeah, got to be drinking
Drink
water.
water.
So
Well, I would imagine diet could potentially have something.
Oh, diet's got to have a huge
nutrition does,
Yeah.
and I mean everybody. We won't get really into that because anybody who's on social media knows there's about 100 different viewpoints on what the proper diet regime is. But I think what I learned from my conversation yesterday with this individual was not everybody is the same. So you've really got to be in tune with how your body is responding to different foods
Right.
at different times of the day based on your activity level and that sort of thing. But he pointed to an old Japanese proverb or something. They have a word for 80% full.
Ah, yes, that's where you want to get to.
That's where you want to stop.
Yeah.
So if as you're
Don't go
eating,
over
you're
it.
thinking, if you're eating to clear your plate, which is how we all grew up,
Yeah.
Sure.
it's
'Cause
bad.
think about those starving Chinese.
Yeah, exactly. Or Ethiopians, I might be a little.
Africa.
We were the same age. How did
Almost exactly the same.
I was never taught to be concerned about the Chinese. Mine was always Ethiopians. But the idea being,
When
we were taught bad habits, well intentioned, but we were taught bad habits that are not serving us well. We have to learn how to break those. But one of my favorites, because when I have told people that I'm doing this now, they have looked at me like I am completely bonkers.
Yeah.
But he said 100% this is a good thing to do. Do you know where I'm going with this?
I think so.
I have
Go
no
for
idea.
it.
Cold plunging.
Yep.
Oh, jeez.
I did that. I did my first cold plunge for the first time about a couple weeks ago.
Wow.
Yep.
It doesn't take much. Some people go crazy, but he said even a few minutes in a cold shower will get you about 60 or 70% of the benefits of a full immersion cold plunge. Now, if you do a full immersion cold plunge, he says it has remarkable de-stressing impact
Yep.
as well as phenomenal aging benefits.
Yeah.
So,
Time for the cold plunge.
I think so.
yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Man.
I don't know how much more time we've got for this session, but I'd say one last one, or maybe one additional one would be remembering what's true. I think a lot of stress occurs when we let our minds go to places that just, quite frankly, aren't true, right? So that's
The self-deprecating.
like okay, well this is surely going to happen, and then if that happens, this is going to happen, and if that happens,
Oh my gosh.
and so now it just kind of builds into your overall stress. And the reality is 99.9% of the time that next thing probably won't happen,
Doesn't happen.
right? And so just kind of, again, going down this rabbit trail of, oh yeah, it's over, this happened, so now this happens, and now this is going to happen, and it just creates this anxiety that we just can't get hold of.
Well, and our good friend John Garner, I was on a call with him earlier today, and he pointed this out. Are you familiar with the phrase or the concept of the reticular activator?
Yeah, he used that word with me earlier today as
Okay,
well.
so maybe your call came after mine. I don't know, but or maybe ours came after yours, and he had it on the top of his head. But he's like, if I tell you to look for red in the room, you're going to see red, and then if I come back to you and say, well, how much white was there? You're going to say, I don't know. I wasn't looking for white. I was looking for red.
Yeah.
So it's the same idea, which is if you're looking for the negative, even if that negative premonition isn't what manifests, all you'll see is negative.
You look you find what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Seek and you shall find.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But on the flip side of that is if you think The Power of Positive Thinking. I forget who the author was, but if you're looking for good in the world, if you're looking for good in people, if you're looking for opportunity, you will find it. You'll see it. It's there. It's not like you're creating it. It's just now you're looking for it. Just like the white in the room was always there.
Yeah.
Now you're just tuning into it because before you were looking for red. So it's just an awareness that these things are always present, both yin and yang, good and bad.
Yeah.
It's how we, intentionally seek out the receptors
Love it.
on it.
So much truth there. A lot of practical advice, especially as we head into the holiday season. This was great, Nate. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks,
Yeah.
Nate.
Thank you guys.
You want to close us out?
Well, we appreciate you guys and we appreciate our listeners. Create a beautiful day.
Thank you.